Okay, South Africa are having a great or had a great day one and of the second test against India at the Wanderers. I think that from a bowling perspective, there was a lot to that we've learned from the previous game, particularly keeping similar lines and lengths. I feel they bowled well, especially later on within the first session. I think it started off a little bit slower. It was very similar to Centurion. There was a couple of runs different at the first drinks break. So after that, we saw some wickets falling, and there's a lot that I want to talk about because there has been certain concerns shown about certain speedsters or seamers, particularly Kagiso Rabada and Duan Olivier. People were having a chat about their speeds and saying that it was under 130 continuously. I mean, Duan Olivier on 126 got one of his wickets came off from 126 delivery as well. KG Rabada not necessarily hitting going past 135. Um, and a lot of people would have said, "What's going on?" They do get quicker as the game goes along. You can see once they're in more in rhythm. But it was a wicket that was absorbing as well from a sponge perspective. A lot of people would say that too. But we'll be discussing that on the show a little later. I just want to give you a quick summary. So India were all out for 202, and you have to obviously congratulate some of the bowlers, particularly Marco Jansen for his 4 for 31, Duan Olivier for his 3 for 64, and ditto from Kagiso Rabada for his 3 for 64. Lungingiri bowled quite well as well, keeping his lines. I would have liked to see him maybe take the new ball. I thought they would have maybe given him the new ball and Kagiso Rabada the new ball, but that's something that we can talk about a little later. From a South African batting perspective, Eden Markram falling to the same bowler again. This is Mohammad Sami has got his number in this particular test series so far. He's again falling to the swinging delivery, particularly with the new ball, and it's something that we are going to be talking about. So let's keep going. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you guys want to call in on the show, you can do so too. The link is in the description if you guys want to have your say. But first and foremost, subscribe to this channel, please. Click that notification bell for all future videos. We've been getting some good traction over the last couple of days. Also, subscribe to Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is straight to your inbox every single month, including the latest issue. So go ahead and subscribe to that too. 100% free. Let's get straight into it. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid, and I'm joined today by Mpo. I've been waiting to talk to him for quite some time. He's been so busy with commentary, etc., and doing a great job there. So, um, Mpo, first and foremost, what's your thoughts on the game? And welcome to the show again. But first and foremost, What's your thoughts on the bowling performance? I mean, a step up from the last game.
Hear me correct? Can you hear me fine? Okay. No, Khalid, thanks. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind week. Trying to sort of, but today I kind of that 200 was a great target for us to aim at. I was surprised they didn't want to bowl first. I think that was the one thing. But if you did some domestic research, you would have thought that bowlers would have worked because Irons having to run and all the bold guys out for 1-8 on this pitch recently. And Evan Flint left a lot of grass pitch. The session was always going to be quiet, and domestically the lines have always been quiet in the first session. He took 2, 3 wickets. It hasn't been in blasting teams out. Only after lunch when they would do that and they would make that. I was happy with the guys bowled. I think first session a bit wayward. I felt Dwan very wayward at times. but it didn't feel like it was bowling to a plan. Kagiso was bowling with himself. I know there was a comment about, but Kagiso as well, they were both within themselves. After that session, that of Marco and Lungi just opened up, and they kind of give match as to what you wanted to do. I was happy with the way they bowled us. They being able to skittle. It is skittling out for 200. Good because I think two was the target, and I suspect that if the team manages to score above 50, if South Africa manages to score above 50, they will be in with shot because I think that third innings wickets are going to fall in clusters over days 3 and 4. So I was happy. Yes, the speeds were down, but I think one of the factors is that everyone was talking about Duan. That could be an issue. But I also do think he's just focusing more on accuracy rather than pace, which is disappointing for some South Africans. But if he's going to bowl today and be really good lead like Duan and Marco, would be great. One word on Marco, he bowled really well today, and we the talent is there. Obviously, the question was Africa batter light, have him in there, even though we do know he can bat a bit. That's going to be quite interesting to see too. But he bowled extremely well. Out of love for South Africa for seamers, but you got to keep your spinner, give it that option. But I was really happy with what I saw today. It was they were on the money after the first hour at least, not like after the session at Centurion. They put India under pressure, and India whittled under that pressure.
Mhm. Now, okay, so you spoke about it as well. I spoke about it on yesterday's show as well. Talking about that extra batter because with now Quentin de Kock also gone and Kyle Verreynne replacing him, and we thought that maybe we need an extra batter over there as well if you're going to take out the likes of Vian Mulder. And now South Africa are in a position where that might come back to bite them, dependable on how KP and Dean can perform. But they lost that early wicket, which we were so scared that they would. That is the whole reason why you want the extra batter in case of someone falling at the top. So, how do the South Africans need to bat on the surface? I mean, from what we've seen towards the end of today, in Paul, I know it's difficult for you to be able to give a complete assessment of what it's going to look like tomorrow morning in the first session. But let's just look at the end of this particular game. Patience going to be the key to unlocking a good innings.
Take out of KL Rahul's book. The way he batted and the way he batted at Centurion was you got to as many balls as you can. You play on your off stump. No, don't play too fat unless if it's a bad ball. What got KL Rahul to do is playing balls down the leg side. So he recognized that balls down the leg side were less riskier balls, and so he then played into his trap. Whereas if you play compact outside the off stump, it's going to look like Dean in the last hour looked very streaky. Going to look streaky, but you fight through it. You have to fight yourself essentially because you are going to get the ball to come. You need to identify when that ball is. If it's wide, if it's and it's less risky, go for it. It's about being able to. So South Africa need to bat the entire hour, essentially. If they're batting the test matches, it has been won. And in order to do that, you need a compact. You need to understand. Scale did that 30 of 100 balls first session. You know that you want. That's the type of batting you want. It get better. It will quicken up throughout tomorrow and everyone else. And if the sun keeps, it will get better. Probably tomorrow. But it's getting there. That's the thing with your batsmen inside. Speaking about the extra batter, everyone needs to do their job. We're going to go down this line where they needs to do their job. They're only going to have batters, 6 and 1 all rounder and 4 birds. So, I'm not a fan of it. Needs to have, especially at the one ring, you can get away with 4 seamers. The Lions have done successful. They've dominated teams. You can do that too. And today, I think we all saw. And so the question is, will Kesha's role be? Kesha that to I know they want him there, but I don't think he's going to do much. I really don't.
Mm. I mean, it's good points over there. And when we look at tomorrow and we look at the weather forecast, according to the weather forecast, which is not has not been right today either, around 1 o'clock there should be some rain happening, and but more so around tea time and 3 till 4. So it's so important that South Africa can get some runs on the board in that first session, and maybe a little bit after lunch too. Um, and I'm hoping that KP and Dean, because I like the fact that KP and Dean are actually batting together. I think KP can learn a lot from Dean when it comes to patience, because I feel KP has been, you can see by his wickets, he looks so good with his cover drives and his straight drives that he's playing, and then he'll play at one that he doesn't need to and nicks it off, or you'll miss it and it will go LBW or something like that. So patience is so important. Maybe playing less strokes, leaving more, something that Dean Algo can really help him with. And he can, being at the crease, listening to Dean, watching him go to the pitch and check out which areas of the pitch he's checking out, for example, and how he adapts. That's golden information that you can pick up from a test cricketer, that our youngsters or the younger guys that are coming in or the newer guys coming in need to face. And I think that's so important that is happening right now, Paul.
That's true, and I'm excited. AP. I think he's reporting for like 30 minutes now. So that one worrying to me was from a rhythm perspective, because batting is a rhythm game. So I'm that unlike it went into on that day, um, he was in rhythm, and after lunch, I feel like tomorrow morning, today, struggling a little bit with the back end of that innings, or but then tomorrow he might come a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable. Having Dino on the side helps. It really does. And for me, it takes the pressure off him, because and that's what the one is. You don't have to score big. Everyone gets stuck. The boundaries are small. That obviously with bounce, the ball carry, it will fly. The immaculate and the reckless. You play out of what you are, and so having a guy like Boo has made a name for himself, play largely within himself, within his abilities, and he knows. Dean understands like better than anybody else. A young cricketer like KP can learn from Dean, especially being compact outside that off stump, chasing wide runs. I know Dean to go fish, but it is something that has, when he scores big, that you forget about it, and want that to happen. He looked good. He looked good 30 minutes before the close of where India were going big. Siraj's spell was getting to the South Africa. Yeah, I think Khalid, the one thing South Africans need to look out for, there might be rain, because of how hot it's been. But outside of it, you need to bat as long as possible. You need to bat big. You need to bat once. You need to take the advantage away from India. And the only way you do that is if the six all of a sudden is this sings and sings with, and does it as Dean has said. And so far Dean done well. He needs to carry on. They need to bat through lunch. The thing about it is that if you apply yourself at the one group, you can put the bowlers under. Siraj is pulled up. We don't know if they fix that in time for tomorrow morning. So India will slowly, they're a different. Yes, they may not be as when they have Virat Kohli. You can put them in a hole. If you score 300, that if, all I want is a lead minimum. If you get a lead minimum of 6, it's worth 100 on this. And so all this team needs to do, they need to try and get to 300. And that's by applying them stump. Anything else out of off stump, you need to be so that you can play and play confidently.
100%. Thanks a lot, Mpo. Okay, I'm just going to go through some of the comment section of it right now and read some of the comments. We basically covered everything that's going to happen. We know that South Africa need to take their time at the crease and really put on a good performance, and we're hoping that KP can get his first proper runs on the board, because I mean that's what you want to see from any new guy that comes into the team. I've been saying KP seems to be a compulsive shot maker, going after wide balls, must control his excessive desire to score and just leave wide balls. There's plenty of time. And that's something we both touched on right now. It's that extra shots that he wants to play. Sometimes he just needs to leave it. And we also dealt with the fact that maybe Dean Elgar being on the other end is actually the perfect person for him to bat with. 300 new subs. Thank you for keeping up keeping on up to date with it, guys, and subscribing, but also for watching and seeing how many subs we have increased by. Thanks a lot for that. A great fan base we have here. Dean Elgar showing that the grit that every great opening batsman has. Yeah, I mean that's his career. Dean Elgar's career is playing that gritty knocks. But he does look like he can kind of hit a couple of loose ones as well. There's a couple of cracks in his game still, Umpo, even though he is the experienced captain of the side.
You saw that with the way the inting as well. Everybody at this level is at some point at the levels below is more flowing. They chase the wide, they fight, they try at those ones. And KL Rahul, he's naturally he opens for India in T20. He's naturally aggressive, right? He has fight to get within himself and himself not to face and chase those wide ones like Captain did at Centurion. And it's that type of mentality. Cricket is Test cricket because you need that mentality. Has that in spades. And there was a time on commentary today I did do that, and it's scary. Your heart's in your mouth because you're like, Dean, get back to you. Essentially, what these every ball you have to reset yourself all the way. Sometimes you had a bad ball, next one. The Rahul to go from 1-1 over, and everyone thought he was out, to then 2 balls later, play down the ground. Testament to that type of bad balls are gone. That's back in my head. Back to what I've tried to do, and what you want to see with Dean, and he did that in this period, right, where he had moments where he would fish, or he's back in compact. That you want, because that's a good headspace.
Yeah. So welcome, Aaron, as well. We're just going through some of the comments in the live chat, basically just having a look at what the fans have to say. We've got this one over here, Marco. Exceptional bowling, take a bow, young kid. People were after him last test match, but this kid showed them he is world class. His lengths were impeccable. So he did bowl excellently. And what I've always liked about Marco, and I've noticed this from Kai Majola weeks already and school levels, I saw more at Sky Majola week than school. I never really watched him play at school level, but at Sky Majola week, and from watching him from there to S under 19 and watching his journey, he's constantly improved little bits about his game. And when I watched him in net sessions, for example, how he's always asking for help, and he never shies away from someone saying, "Let me just take the ball and throw a couple to you," or "Let me take some extra balls in the nets." Paul, if you want to go, you can just say your final words, and then you can leave.
No, I'm just saying, tomorrow's gonna be great. India's gonna come out swinging, and South Africa needs to find a way to wrestle to stop that from happening, because that's the only way they can win this game is if they bowl better than South Africa, and that's a good thing because South Africa bowled excellently today. So cheers, guys.
Oh, Tempo, I'm gutted that he's had to go.
Yeah.
I'm gutted. He looks very sharp as well, I must admit, with the old CSA lanyard. Today, also, new microphone as well. New year,
sounds
new microphone.
crisp. Love it.
I know, it's so much better. I got it for Christmas, but I'll tell you what, talking of Christmas, a bit of a late Christmas present, wasn't it today? South Africa's bowling. Absolutely outstanding. I know towards the end with Ashwin and Bumrah, it did get a little bit disjointed should India have got to 200 runs, but to get them in that position in the first place, you've got to take your hat off to the likes of Marco Jansen and Duano Levere. Khalid, I'm not sure if you two spoke about this. Sorry, I've literally just been doing a podcast, so I've only just hopped on. But Duane Olivier's bowling speeds, have you touched
Yeah,
upon that just yet?
I
Why
touched
do you
on
think they were
that at the
down?
beginning. Um, it might prove that Victor Impasang maybe wasn't lying. This test. That maybe the reason they left him out is because he maybe had a little bit of a niggle. And I don't know. I think it's because of nervousness and rustiness. I feel in international cricket, coming out here and bowling, making sure that he gets the lengths and the lines right first before notching up the speed. And I think we've seen it with KG as well, slowly getting into his speed that we know him to bowl at. KG said he wasn't feeling that great either. I don't know if it's maybe got to do with, we know that Duan also had COVID. We don't know if that's maybe effects after that as well. So it is a bit weird that I touched on it. I wrote it in my lunch report. I actually mentioned it. I said that the reason we wanted one in the team so badly is because we wanted extra pace because we weren't really getting it from KG. Lungi's bowling faster than usual, but we weren't really getting it from them. The only real pace we were getting is from Janssen, and he was hitting the 140 mark now and again. But we would have expected it from Duan more consistently, above 135, at least above 135. So that's important that we also look at that. But what was your thoughts? What is your thought process about why that would be the case?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I saw on social media it could be COVID related in terms of just, some fatigue. But I do hope that we get to see the Duane Olivier that we've seen in previous years because we know how destructive he is. And even though he wasn't reaching those 140 plus heights today, it's just a testament to the amount of skill and talent that the guy's possessing. That he's taken 3 for 64. I know he's a bit expensive at times. I think he had a 3.7 economy rate, but honestly, it shows that he's learned from county cricket. Even when he's not hitting these absolutely rapid speeds, he's still troubling batsmen, and that is a fantastic skill to possess for South Africa. And he's another option that the Proteas have at their disposal heading into the future. So, although it wasn't the Duane Olivier that we become accustomed to seeing, I was still very impressed. I was very, very impressed. He got some key breakthroughs. When you think about those 2 wickets, I know that they aren't exactly the informed players, are they? In Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane. But if you let them get into some rhythm, if you let them get into their stride, their flow, they can go big. And he delivered today. So nice big tick next to Duane's name. Marco Jansen. I love this guy. I think he's fantastic. And, for so many years in South African cricket, how many times have we've been begging for a left-arm seamer to come out, to just change up that seam attack ever so slightly? And you've got him. 21 years of age, he's aggressive. And didn't I say it after the first test? After those first 7 overs in the second innings, he appeared to get his radar. You get him playing a few test series, you get him into some rhythm, some confidence, you've got a serious player on your hands. So I'm really, really excited to see how he develops heading into 2022, but also the years beyond as well.
Ashwani, we've got our first caller on the show. So Ashwani, I want you to take it away. You know how things go over here.
Look fresh today, Ashwani, I must admit. Looking
Thank
sharp.
you. Yeah. Yes, today is very disappointing day. I think that same old India's middle order problem. I think the inclusion of Olivier, I think it's you can say that South Africans fast bowling attack look very very important today. I think you talk about Olivier's speed, but I think he's a much matured bowler due to his stints in county, and I won't go to his speeds. I think speeds can be sometimes bit of a illusion. I think he's very smart as a bowler. Due to his stint as a county, he varies his speed according to the situation. If you saw Dale Steyn later in his career, I think he started his initial spell at around 130s. When ball gets older, he can go up to 145, 150. I think Olivier can also bowl up to 140s, maybe due to weakness due to COVID, but I think he can still bowl up to 140s. Maybe you can say that he's little bit smart. More when I first saw Olivier against Pakistan, he bowled continuously short bowling, short bowling. But in this test, he bowled around 4 to 6 meter lengths. I think, which is, you can say, the actual test match bowling, and he learned where uh, uh, where a bowler should bowl the new ball, and he bowling at particularly in that area. Pitch offers bounce, no doubt, but he uses his experience in county, because in county cricket you have to pitch the ball up for swing, and he continuously doing that today.
Mm.
Uh, uh, yes, yes. And
Yeah.
comes to India's batting, especially I talk about Pujara and Rahane. I am very angry with them, because I think it's quite remarkable that how India have allowed this middle order problem to carry on across 12 months, during which
Mm.
they have played in Australia, England, and South Africa, and played at home across 2 seasons. I think they have to seriously look at Pujara and Rahane. I don't saw such a pathetic Indian batting lineup for a long, long time. I have to use this word pathetic, because we Indians always associate the Indian team with batting. We have players like Sunny Gavaskar, Rahul Dravid, VVS Lakshman, Dilip Vengsarkar, Mohinder Amarnath. But I think this Indian batting look very, very mediocre, and you they have some technical deficiencies, which they, I think, look to sort out. Otherwise, it will be a difficult test for them.
Ashwani, if I could just follow up on that, because
Yes, yes.
with regards to Rahane, I mean, you've got two ideal replacements, I suppose, in Hanuma Vihari and Shreyas Iyer. In terms of Pujara, who has been the mainstay in number 3, who would you say could replace him for India? Would you go with someone like a Shubman Gill, an Abhimanyu Ezra, a Priyank Panchal? I mean, you've got options, but who would you select if you had that choice?
I think if I look them technically correct, I think I would go with Hanuma Vihari. Hanuma Vihari is, you can say that he has lot of first class experience, and in today's inning he looks good. But I think more he will play, he will get the confidence. I think he is a bit unlucky due to injuries issues, that he will not in featured in the regular 11. But I will pick Hanuma Vihari. But in future, near future, saw Shubman Gill in the middle order, because I saw a little bit of technical weakness in his batting, because he is susceptible to in swing. When you saw his, when you saw his stance there, I think there's a little bit of bat and bat gap between them. So I think his game is much suited to middle order batting. So I saw Shubman Gill there, and Hanuma Vihari and Shreyas Iyer too. Plus, I also saw Priyank Panchal in near future. I think India can also give him the chance, because I saw his batting. His game is much suited to bouncy conditions. So we will see how he cope with that.
Ashwani, we've got a question for you from the fans. How far has Padikal and Shaw from Indian selection?
I think very far. I think Shaw has a little bit of technical issue. I think in Test cricket he played too much of shots, which I think is a little bit risky. Which we saw from Keegan Peterson. There he's very talented player. I think he looks most talented of South African batters, which I saw. But I think as in the case of Shaw is no doubt he's supremely talented, but he played too many shots. But plus he has some weakness. I think he has to rectify his mistakes. In case to Devdutt Patikal, I think he needs to play more first class cricket, and I think he has to rectify his game against fast bowling. I think he's little bit short on short pitch bowling. He has to work more areas on his game, which we saw from KL Rahul. KL Rahul is a little bit awkward when playing short pitch bowling. So Devdutt is new to that level. I think he needs some time to get into the Indian team.
Mhm. Anything else you want to ask him before he leaves?
I have question from Aaron. Why do you think that India's batting struggle so much in Test? Do you think they have technical issues, or there is some mental problem?
I think it's a mix of both. I think with someone like a Jinky Rahane and Pajara, I think right now it's probably psychological. We saw this with Joe Root, didn't we, in 2020 and at times in 2019 as well. He just struggled to convert. But with these guys, they're struggling to get any scores of substance. And it does play on your mind. And when you are in a team like India, which are premier right now, one of the absolute best in the world, appeared in the championship final, you know just how fraught with danger your place is. Because we've just mentioned right there, so many names can come in and replace them in the 11. So I definitely think that it is becoming a psychological thing for Pajara Rahane. But then at other times, you can also argue technical. And you do see this a lot with young Indian batsmen in particular, the short ball. It's something which Ricky Ponting has tried really, really hard to sort out with Prithvi Shaw. So I think it's a mix of both. I think for the younger players, it's more of a technical one, but they've got the time to smoothen those creases out and improve as they get more experience. But for the likes of Rahane and Pajara, I'm going to be honest, they look as though they're approaching the latter stages of their career now. They've had a fantastic Test career, brilliant batsman in that Indian batting lineup. But for me, it does appear as though the end is near in terms of their Test career.
Yeah, seems look like they are on their last legs. I think this is maybe the decider for them.
Thank you, Ashwani. Thank you for coming on the show. I hope you come in again when we have another call.
Yes, please do, Ashwani. It's an absolute pleasure. It really is.
Thank you, sir.
See you, guy. So I want to ask you about. Let's talk a little bit about Aiden.
Yeah, we need to.
I mean, for me, obviously, I'm a big fan, and I would give him till the end of the series to get some runs under his belt. I'm hoping that he can turn it on and start getting better. He has gotten quite a few good balls from Mohammad Shami. Yes, we can say that, but he doesn't look very stable against the swinging new ball. It's been a problem, I think, for quite some time, and especially against the Asian sides. He did show his class against Pakistan, but it was more because of his game against spin that I feel that he stood out in that particular game. But it still has a problem. Is it maybe just a technical? I think it's more of a technical issue. Maybe where he's standing. If he's standing maybe too much, too middle stump rather than standing a little bit closer. Or maybe a little wider. I don't know. Give him some more space. Maybe step out of the crease a little bit. Something that he needs to change there. I feel. Because I think that's what's going on over here. He's forced into playing shots that he doesn't need to, and then he's nicking out or chopping on.
Yeah, again, I would say it's a mix of both, to be honest. I think it's technical and psychological because, again, he hasn't had, massive scores as an opening batsman in the last year or so. And to be honest, the opening partnership just doesn't seem to be working. This current balance, it's not working. I mean, if you see the scores from 2021 to now in terms of this Test match, in the last year or so, the highest partnership between these two is 14 runs. And that was today. 14 runs. I mean, it's just not enough, especially for a team with, well, for the time being, an inexperienced middle order. And you have got options in South Africa. And I know that a lot of people will be looking at someone, the likes of Sarel Erveya, for example, to come in and maybe fill that gap at the top. But also technical, something which I'm not quite sure why Markram has taken out of his game, but something that he did very well against Pakistan in 2018, that series was, he just came slightly out of the crease. He wasn't exactly down the track, but he was ever so slightly down the crease. He was just coming forward to the seam, and that's something which has gone out of his game. So I wonder if that's because he's opening the batting. I wonder if that's a confidence thing, a rhythm thing. But I do think there's more than one factor that's playing on Aiden Markram's mind at the moment. The issue then, if you were to drop him, do you drop him from the side completely, or do you bring him in at number 3 and you drop Rassie van der Dusen, or you drop those two down and you drop a young batsman? That's the only issue I can see. If you drop Aiden, how do you then get the balance? Because you could go Sarel and Dean opening, Markram at 3, then someone like Rassie at 4, Timber at 5, but then you've got to sacrifice Keegan Peterson. So it's a difficult one. It's a really, really difficult one. And to be honest, I don't think I have the answer at the moment. I think that's something which Boucher, Smith and South Africa as a team are going to have to make a final decision on and just run with it for a few series.
Yeah, because I mean it's a difficult one. I'm going to bring on Ravi right now. Ravi, I would also like you to maybe add to this as well, because if he, there's a lot of factors involved when it comes to this, and where you stand on the pitch can make a difference as well. Middle stump. That's why you ask for you to take guard and where you want to stand. Now, if it stands too much off stump, trapping all the W comes into the equation a lot more. Can you not hear us? You can't hear me. I don't know why. Aaron, you can.
I can. Holly, could I just jump in on that point? Because it's an
Yes.
excellent one. And this is obviously something which has been floated around in English cricket right now about standing on an off-stump guard to take away the LBW. But the problem is, for a lot of these young batters in world cricket right now, what you're seeing is they're fishing at deliveries on a 6th or 7th stump line. Now, if they stayed on a middle stump guard, a more traditional one, a more technically correct one for older generations of batting lineups, I don't think they'd be as susceptible to that. Yes, they'd bring in LBW, but you do see this when you look at England's batsmen, the likes of Ollie Pope, Zach Crawley, Dan Lawrence at times. When they are on their off-stump guard, they're constantly flashing the blade at deliveries that if they're on the more traditional guard, they wouldn't even be anywhere near.
Exactly.
So that is something for Aidan Markram. Another thing, I also think he should come out of his crease ever so slightly, not every single ball, but I felt like he had more control in his batting when he did that against Pakistan.
Yes.
But definitely, I think technical and psychological change needs to happen with Aidan. And I wish him the best because we all know he's a fantastic cricketer. He's a wonderful, wonderful player to watch. But something right now, at the start of 2022, isn't working for him at the top. So just some little tweaks, some little changes, nothing major. And fingers crossed we can see the best of Aidan heading into the future.
Now, I hope Ravi comes back into the,
So do I.
show.
It's been a while.
I'm not sure where he is. Yeah. I mean, if he's trying to, if he couldn't hear me, there was no point. But yes, Aaron, it looks like you want to say something.
Sorry, I've just seen a comment from Hasnam, and he said, "Why are they actually standing on off stump? Is there any reasoning?" Well, it's to give you that better idea of where your off stump is, because one of the worst feelings in cricket is leaving a ball and you see your off stump behind you. So it gives younger batters the opportunity to know exactly where their off stump is, and if it's outside their eye line, if they're right-hand batter on their right-hand side, they can leave it. It also does negate LBW slightly compared to an off stump, compared to a middle stump or a leg stump guard. But the problem is, okay, when that ball is floated up wide, if you're on an off stump guard, it's no longer wide. You think it's in your hitting arc when it isn't. And that is a trap which so many young batters are falling into. And it's one which Aidan Markram has unfortunately fallen into as well.
Yeah, and also you would think that they'll be able to read the seam, the movement a lot better if they're standing over there, or they can get to the ball a lot quicker or to the swing a lot quicker than when they're standing middle, because you swing and you miss it and you're standing middle stump, you out. Like at least this gives you like almost like a second. If you edge it, then you might just edge it through, or you might edge it between the keeper or something, and not onto your stumps immediately. But if you're standing deep and you're standing off, that's where the problem comes in, because especially if you're going to try to defend on the back foot, or you're going to try and play a loose shot out wide, you see how that happened to Aidan. He knocked the ball onto his stumps because of that. So he needs to find a balance and the right balance. I was hoping that obviously his stint playing county cricket, etc., and being in England would have helped him with the swinging ball a lot more. I think it did towards a stage. I mean, he was pretty good against the Pakistan bowlers, but I mean those wickets are a lot slower. It's on wickets where the ball is moving around, and in conditions where the ball is swinging in the air as well, or moving off the seam, is where he struggles. And yeah, like in Australia, I feel he might, especially if I'm playing against those bowlers, especially. So there is a little bit of a technical flaw, I feel there. Let's try to get Ravi back in again, Aaron. Can you hear us now, Ravi?
Can you hear us, Ravi?
I can. I just switched to my iPhone. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to all our viewers from around the world. Happy New Year. Belated New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Ravi.
Ravi. That was cute. Really starting with the superlatives there, young Aaron. But okay, no, good stuff. No, I thought it was a great day, and I apologize, gentlemen. I didn't quite hear the question that was raised when we broke off.
We were just talking about Aiden Markram, particularly. I was talking about Aiden Markram, and maybe a technical flaw there that is the reason for him obviously getting the falling to bowlers that are specifically swing bowlers. And Shami's taken his
Yeah.
wicket now 3 times in this particular series, and you
Yeah.
can see that he's struggling against the swinging delivery, especially the new ball. What technical things can he do to maybe improve that? Is it maybe a change in where he stands in the crease, or
I
maybe he
think
must
so.
step out?
Hmm. I think it's his batting stance. 'Cause I think he was standing at he took a middle guard and he was almost like trying to work the ball on the onside. I have a feeling that T20 white ball cricket kind of like ruined his sort of approach. I think Aaron was alluding to earlier, where he almost used to come forward to some of the seamers, and I felt that uh, his working the ball around this seems to be very much akin to the way he plays the one day format of the game. So I think that's kind of had a negative impact on his test batting style, if you will. I think he's certainly a capable batsman of remedying this quite quickly. You have to be an exceptional batsman just to get over a hump like this one and change your approach. I think general go-to examples around this. I don't know if you all remember, if you all are possibly a bit significantly younger than I am, but some of you might that are watching might remember Sachin's 241. Now, while there might be two polarizing examples, what Sachin did in that particular innings, he didn't go to his go-to shot, if you will, which was the off drive. So he refrained from doing that. And I found that if Markram was like to do less of, let's just try and work it around with the odd single or two on the onside, he might find himself actually sitting there for more balls at the end of play. Because the idea is that the longevity aspect of his game is not there anymore, because what he's trying to do is accelerate the run rate. And the problem that I have with this particular approach is that South Africa are in a golden opportunity at the moment to actually capitalize on top of the Indians. And they managed to bowl them out with about 20 overs left in the day's play, which means that they actually have time on their side, which was not the case in the first innings when you had India dominating with the bat on day one. You had a washed out day two, and then day three was basically, sort of back in favor of South Africa. But effectively, South Africa had a fantastic opportunity. They have an opportunity now to capitalize. Keegan and Dean are batting very well. But coming back to Markram, I think the only way he's going to remedy this is to try and avoid working the ball around, especially to the seamers. Because you're right, he succumbed to Shami on 3 occasions. I counted 2. I didn't realize this was the 3rd time. So obviously, Shami unfortunately has his number. So that's something he needs to get out of his head very quickly. If I was Mark Boucher, I would have put Markram straight in the nets just to get him to sort of avoid getting trapped on that. It's not that corridor of uncertainty problem that Herschel Gibbs had a good 15 years back. Herschel did the same thing and he used to get trapped quite easily. I think it was Khan that used to get the better of him a couple of occasions at the time. But let's just see. I think Markram is certainly capable of breaking the curse, if you will. Maybe a 4-time lucky. Hopefully, the next guy that gets him out won't be Shami this time round.
Just to elaborate on that, I mean, Werner's brought up a fantastic point in the comments, because Ravi, you mentioned about him trying constantly to work onto the onside. Do you think his bat angle is also coming into it as well? Because this is something which is plaguing English batting lineups right now. They're not playing with a straight bat. And if you listen to older generations, that is the first and foremost thing, because, you can build your defence off it. You build your attack off your defence. Do you feel like with Markram at the moment, because he has got this obsession with trying to clip it onto the onside, that he is losing his form at the moment in terms of his batting technique?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say I didn't even think about the angle, so that's something I'll certainly observe when I look at the highlights again. But I was concerned about his backlift. I felt that might have been a problem as well. And generally what you find is that any sort of team that wants to sort of accelerate the run rate, like Australia brought this methodology of you need to score 3 to 4 runs and over now. And my thing is that, you find batsmen sort of remedying their way of, or their approach of batting by having a higher back lift and just cartering the ball all over the field. And I find that Markram seemed to have changed his technique in that respect. That's what I've noticed. The angled bat, on the other hand, it could very well have been something that had a contributing factor towards his dismissal quite recently.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, this is why I love cricket, because there's so many different factors which come into it. You could talk all day about it.
So
elite
many
sport. Just saying.
And
Best
I
on the
don't think
planet.
this is a case of Aiden isn't good enough for Test cricket. That can be ignored.
He's proven he has been.
Yeah, he has, and particularly against Australia when they came down, he completely destroyed them. So, and that's a very good bowling attack that he faced in South African conditions. I do think that I doubt he's been able to actually remove himself from the situation much to go and learn new techniques. Like, for example, sometimes you need to maybe just go to your childhood coach or someone outside of your facility to just refresh and go and learn from them, or maybe let them work on it a little bit with you in the nets. But with the bubble and going from bubble to bubble and all of these type of things and isolation and quarantine and all of those things that are happening every single time you play cricket, it must have been hard for him to actually go away and go learn from his mistakes, because straight after test matches, we went straight into almost a limited overs tour, and then straight into the World Cup, and then you're coming out of the World Cup, and then you have a little bit of rest, straight back into the test arena again. So you're hopping constantly. There's no build up and momentum over here. So I think that's what a lot of batting attacks are facing currently all around the world, is that interruption that they've been getting when it comes to test cricket. Yes, okay, other players have also, other teams have played a lot more test cricket than South Africa have as well, bar Australia, who's on a similar path. But we need to find a way on how to rectify some of those errors, and it's something that I think that it will come out of his game. I don't think it would be fair to drop him and then move him down the order. If you're going to drop Aiden Markram to find some form, I think putting another opener in his place would be the better move. I don't think it's maybe fair on the other batters to suffer because of that. And also, but if you look at it as well, you could sacrifice maybe some of the other outform middle order batters. But we know that, well, we're hoping that Rassie will also come to the party. He's had some bad form recently in the test arena as well. Could be the same reasons that I alluded to about Markram, the switches between formats, etc. It is quite difficult, especially with no warm-ups and game time prior to this test series. You're facing one of the best teams in the world, as Aaron alluded to earlier on, and you need to be on your A game. And if you're not in rhythm, you're going to struggle. But
we have to remember that as well, don't we, Harley? Because let's be honest, we're still not in ridiculously normal cricketing circumstances either, are we? I mean, we're playing this series behind closed doors. COVID is still an overarching factor, not just in this series, but in series all over the world. It is harder right now to rectify those problems, because whereas you'd have A games, you'd have more A series, you'd have more pre-series games as well, warm-ups. Like, look at the Ashes. England had 0 warm-ups in that one. South Africa haven't really had a proper warm-up for this series as well. I think that is playing a role. I think at times we do need to just understand that. It's also very taxing going from bubble to bubble to bubble to bubble. It is taking its toll. So maybe that is also a factor. But then again, it's something which, and yes, maybe it is because I'm a fan of Aiden Markram, the cricketer, I do think he can rectify. This isn't a case of if Markram is dropped, the door's constantly shut on him, he'll never play for the Proteas again. I think he could easily come back, but he just needs to work on these little things, and I think that will make him a much better batsman in the long term.
It's almost inevitable that he comes back, because what he does in domestic cricket, when he goes to domestic cricket, he bullies domestic cricket.
He needs to come to Warwickshire. That'll be a real challenge.
That's why I said the county stints and his time in England, I was hoping that would fix this particular issue. But I think that you need to take those lessons and go straight into a match situation and try them out. It's very important that you do that, because you can sleep on it and all of those things. Yeah, let's leave it now. I think this is enough. We've said. I just saw the blooming Man United team news, and I saw that Phil Jones is bloody starting, and so I'm peeved off about that. So Ravi, let's take us home, please, so that we can keep this on cricket before I start ranting about Manchester United.
I'm already starting to sweat already thinking about Phil Jones in the fullback jersey there. Yeah, so I think, guys, it's still early days. Markram's obviously hit a rough patch at the moment, and we all know he's capable. I know that there are a lot of naysayers out there that feel that he shouldn't be opening, especially if you've got a solid opener in the form of Ervia in the squad. And the reality is that Ervia is going to have a different set of complications or challenges should he be successful for a call-up for the Newlands test as well. So you just bear in mind that, it's not going to be it's not going to fit like a glove. It's not going to be an easy transition where if you drop Markram altogether from the side or drop him down the order and maybe say, Keegan, you're going to have to be carrying drinks. You're going to be carrying drinks here in Newlands, and Ervia you must open. It's not going to be that seamless. I think we all have this thing of a Stephen Cook sort of majestic moment where you're going to make your debut. It's like a Cinderella story where you're going to score 100 on debut, and it happens to be Ervia, great stuff. But I think Markram is a guy that we shouldn't necessarily give up on. He's just made some poor shot selections as of late, and the reality is that the rest of the batting order have been guilty of that as well. We have yet to get past the 200 mark, and I have a feeling that, touch wood, that this particular innings, we will be successful getting past the 200 mark. And who knows, we might even see our first milestone of the series tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's why I'd like to see younger guys come into the team a lot quicker, because Aiden has the time on him now to be able to come and learn these things and absorb that information and then adapt it, and go ahead differently. He has that time. Whereas with someone like Rassi, he doesn't maybe have that time to do the same. I don't think they'll be as patient with him as they will be with a guy like Aiden, or even a guy like Calvareno, who's even younger. So that's why I like to see younger guys get opportunities, because they learn the most from these failures, and it's so important that we give youngsters opportunities. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell for all future videos, as well as subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight into your inbox every single month, including the latest issue. So go ahead and go do that right away. To all of the guys that are watching, thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you guys again tomorrow with another review show. Hoping South Africa has put on 500 runs on the board. See you guys, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care.